Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Vivoson. If you're looking for some quality products for an affordable price from a name that's been in the game for a very long time, head on over to Vivoson.com. Use promo code Pigeons420. Save yourself a few dollars, support the show, and get yourself some quality grow equipment. Thank you, Vivoson, and more about them throughout the show. Now, time for tea.
All right. There we go. There we go. My man. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting down with a good friend of mine, someone who I've grown to adore a lot over the years. Met him first at I'll make him fix it. At High Rollers Jiu-Jitsu headquarters competition. And let's just say it was the rest is history. Chris from Swank Genetics, bro. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Let's go. Yeah, I can, bro. I can, man. Real quick, can you turn your phone so it's horizontal? Because then you're gonna blow up my screen. Look.
Is that better?
Yeah. Boom. That's perfect, bro. That's perfect.
For some reason I can't see myself. I can only see you, so I just don't.
Oh, did I turn the camera? Oh, here. Let me turn this back on so you can. Maybe turn. It might mess it up. Turn.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't need to see me. As long as you can see me, I'm good.
Yeah, you can hear me great, and that's all. And that's the conversation. I do have a video on, but I don't know if what we did in the back shut it off. But
all good, bro.
But yeah, Mrs. P is
as long as I'm center of your frame, because I can't see if I'm center or not. As long as
you are perfect. You look perfect.
My man.
You look great. Chris, thank you so much for joining me tonight on TeawithP, man. Chris from Swank Genetics. If you could, real quick, can you let everybody know just a little bit who you are and what's your game?
Yeah, my name is Chris. I have a company called Swank Genetics, as well as Iron Bay Hash, which is like a subsidiary solventless hash company that's tied to it. We breed genetics, and we focus on trying to bring a new age approach to a very old practice of growing cannabis.
Yeah, man. I have to admit, when we first ran into each other in Vegas at the High Rollers Jiu-Jitsu, your passion for what you do is second to none. And
I appreciate that.
This is honestly why it was like, it's so fun to talk to you, because it's like, not only do you love what you do, you love life, you're so enthusiastic, and man, this is why I wanted to sit down and chat with you, because dude, you're such
I appreciate that, bro, and vice versa. I mean, we talk for hours. We say this every single time we get on a podcast. I mean, that first introduction, we talk for hours.
Every time. At least now, if you'll notice, Chris, we're the same size here, bro. You see what I did there?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm always your size, bro. I'm never big. I promise you.
You're a big heart, bro. Man. So right out of the gate, man, I want to dive into one of the biggest things. When I was in Vegas, this might have been like the second time you introduced me to Iron Bay, and bro, the flavor and the oh my god, the smell from oh man, it was something unrivaled. You single-handedly converted me into a GMO guy.
Wow, that's what's up, man.
Man, I ended up running into Eric Nugshots. He grows GMO as well, and bro, just you know you have GMO when you have GMO, because once I had yours, bro, it was unbelievable just how much I was captivated by that smell and the taste, and it's just the high was relentless, man. So I'm gonna thank you first of all, because man, I'm now, when people ask me what's your number one go-to, I'm like, it's GMO. I'll take a little bit of hot tropic or some Bundy, or you hit me with it, man. So yeah, shout out to you. I'm Bay, man, doing concentrates. How'd you get into that, bro?
Honestly, man, the whole market shifted. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't because the market shifted. I would say the market corrected, for lack of a better term, and it just, every so many years, the new thing comes into the space and it pushes out the old thing. It's So when solventless kind of started hitting the market in a major way, and I started seeing, BHO numbers go down and distillate numbers go down and shatter numbers go down and crumble and batter and all the varieties that you can make with BHO, when all of that kind of started to tank, and it just got to a point where it's like, well, I'm not putting out any less quality, but I'm being forced to sell it at a lower ticket. That was like my cue to get out. So it was really just out of necessity.
Are you a home grower? Are you looking for some quality and affordable grow equipment? Well, Vivoson has got you covered. From tents to lights and full accessories, head on over to Vivoson.com, use promo code Pigeons420, or if you're on Amazon, promo code PigeonsCoop, save a few dollars and get yourself some great grow equipment. Save today, check out Vivoson.com, and thank them for being a sponsor of today's tea.
Can appreciate that. 100%. You gotta go. You gotta hustle.
I can't
man.
hear you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you gotta hustle, man. You gotta hustle, and it's.
Yeah.
I think it was only inevitable for that game to come tumbling down because it was built on, well, at least here, like here in Canada, like I don't. Did you ever hear of Fido?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, it was a Canadian thing. It was shatter. Essentially, they were like the first to do shatter in Canada. And it took off. Everyone had these green packages of shatter, and it was the go-to.
Gotcha.
And it was pretty much everyone would find it and then do 1 gram dabs. That was really back in the day. That's what the 1 gram.
On the legal market or in the underground?
Underground.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They honestly, I don't even know if they made it to the legal market. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Most of them don't, man.
No, I know you're right. It's cutthroat, bro. You would know.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be, you've gotta be, I don't know. I feel like you gotta really focus on you, and you treading the fat, trying to hone in what would be the right direction. It was smart. People don't do that. I feel they find something they're passionate about, but then they just head down the whole time, bulldoze through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people too, like, there's obviously the saying of like, oh, find your passion and do your passion. And that's fine, but if you can't make a living with your passion too, and it doesn't mean that every passion has to be a thing that's going to generate you major revenue, but it's definitely a bonus if you can turn your passion into the thing that also generates the way you eat. I feel like that's something where a lot of people will think they're passionate about something, and they are until it comes time where that passion is affecting their life because they're choosing to keep it a passion and not make it more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get it. And it's kind of like a dream to be able to turn your passion into your hustle, man. And
yeah, it's not easy to do, but for those that can do it, that's the most rewarding thing in life.
100%.
Waking up every day and actually doing what you love. I feel like that's everybody's dream. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are.
No, you're totally right. You're 100% right, man. And it's like, it's something that I will never take for granted. I'm going to take full advantage of it, but I will never take it for granted, because it's like, I remember the hustle, man. I remember the 9 to 5. Yep. I know what it's like to bust my ass on the 110-degree day and sweat on a rooftop and, work with my hands. Yep. It's like, no, like that is hard work. That is hard work, labor work. There's so many jobs, nurse job. It's just like, to be able to work for yourself, it's so rewarding, but it's tough because there's discipline.
Yeah.
Tons of discipline. It's kind of like growing, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Growing definitely takes discipline to do it right.
You, sir, you're like a man of a million projects. What are you working on right now that you're willing to dabble into?
I mean, honestly, I've spent the last probably almost 2 years at this point, essentially only breeding, and we haven't put out flower into the market in quite some time. A little bit of GMO here and there, just because, like you, I mean, we were blessed to have people really, truly want the GMO, which honestly, bro, was a shock to me, because I got that cut gifted to me at a time where nobody in the country wanted GMO. And then when we grew it and it came out how it came out, the response was way, way crazier than I thought it would be. So, but broadly speaking, I more or less wanted to take myself out of the rat race, if you will, of trying to compete with a dying market. I think that cannabis on either side, whether you're legacy market or in the legal market, is a very tough game right now. And I definitely think that people wanting to compete in the legal, especially on the legal side, people wanting to compete for essentially the least important thing about cannabis, which is the THC content. And then if you don't have a high enough, your prices is X. And if you do have it, your prices, everything's a fixed price essentially now. And that's just so not indicative of what cannabis is about. There's nothing that's fixed about cannabis. Every time you grow even the same genetic, it's going to have variance, let alone when you grow different genetics. So there's nothing fixed about the plant. So why is it that there's a fixed price point based off of a fixed parameter that literally is the least important aspect of cannabis? So at some point, it just started frustrating me, and I wasn't willing to drop my price on my flower. I wasn't willing to degrade my brand. I wasn't willing to bow down to a whole bunch of, Chads and Brads that don't know jack shit about nothing. So instead, I was like, all right, we're going to breed, and we're going to focus on breeding. And I'd rather sell quality genetics, and I'd rather take the time to strength test everything. I mean, I saw the podcast that you guys did the other day with, what was it, Exotic? Was it Exotic, I believe?
Zaza Genetics.
Yeah, Zaza. Sorry, I don't want to misspeak. Yeah,
nope,
Zaza.
Yep, Zaza.
And that dude seemed, I had never heard of him before you guys did that podcast, and I listened to that whole podcast, and he seems like a really smart dude. You know what I mean? So, like, totally 100%. I kind of didn't want to be in that, so I just decided to take his approach, and that's just try to find really good genetics and figure out what works. And then I'd rather be the person offering genetics to the people that still want to race to the bottom, as opposed to being one of the ones racing to the bottom.
I feel you, man.
And plus, with genetics, it's federally legal. With moving seeds, it's legal. With having a tissue culture company, it's legal. All of these things don't require the scrutiny that most cannabis industries have when you try to tie yourself directly to the plant in one form or another. So, it's just in a million ways it made sense for me to focus on breeding.
Man, I could listen to you speak, bro, forever, man. The way that's the passion right there. What I'm talking about. You are the definite. You and your kind. Because I don't want to just sound like I'm pulling your chain the whole time. It's like people.
No, I appreciate it, bro.
You represent the craft blend, the real craft blend. Someone who doesn't give a shit about the market. I say that lightly because of course you have to, but doesn't give a shit about the market, doesn't give a shit about opinion, is passionate about what they believe in, and is willing to bulldoze through to get to the finish line. And I think you made the right choice, if I may, what do I know, by finding that one cut and honing in on it and and working it and figuring it and breeding it. And I think that's the way to go, rather than to take on, at least to try to take on the trend. Because if you try to take on what's hot, I feel like you'll never get good. You'll never get good because you're just constantly just chasing whatever's
trending.
Exactly. And it's like, if you look at what's trending over the course of the last 5 years, it's been high THC, pretty flower. It doesn't have to have much. It doesn't have to taste like anything. It can come out of the bag like cardboard. But if it's got high THC, people are getting high. I would argue most of it's placebo, but that's it's another thing. But I would say that's starting to switch. And if you've got people like yourself that are working on something consistently, when that does make the switch to people who want that quality, that fine herb, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. And you're going to have something
that we hope, man.
Know and believe in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy, bro. It's an uphill battle because at the end of the day, the market is very uneducated, and you have to consciously decide, do I want to try to battle an uphill battle, or do I want to find a different way to interact with an uneducated market? And I don't even mean that in a disrespectful way. I do mean it in a disrespectful way to the dickheads that have helped make this market as uneducated as it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't mean it to the end consumer that is just listening to some influencer with a big following that knows jack shit about nothing, or some Chad or Brad that got a license because his daddy is friends with some politician somewhere and he doesn't know anything, or the million scenarios of the dickheads that push misinformation about everything from distillate to THC being the most important thing to, I mean, the list goes on, bro. It's a very piped up market based on what is going to generate the most revenue for the people that have the most to gain in that given thing. And unfortunately, it's such a grind trying to convince people that, hey, distillate isn't bad, it has its place. Hey, CRC isn't bad, it has its place. Hey, flour can be exceptional if you don't look to THC, it has its place. Hey, extracts like, solventless like hash can be exceptional if you don't look to THC and you look to terp profiles, and it can have its place. Like, but trying to do that when people, especially in the younger generation that have came up with it not being illegal and all they know is a legal market, so all they know is going to dispensaries and being fed what dispensaries feed them, it's very difficult. It's a little easier in people that come from a legacy time like you or I, where we did have the period of pulling up in a car and meeting some dude in a parking lot and risking going to jail for like a 20 sack. It's like the people that were born, what you say 2000 or later, they don't, for the most part, there are still some states, but broadly speaking, you don't have that. So you have people that are only being educated from the standpoint of where a lot of the misinformation stems from.
Bro, I couldn't agree more. And honestly, I'm glad that you said that we can't blame the consumer for the most part. Mm-hmm. I would argue the exact same thing. That like yeah. When it comes to beer, bro, I don't know anything, man. And I know what tastes good and what doesn't. That's full stop. And I don't even like beer. I just drink the lightest beer that just kind of fizzes in my mouth when it goes down. And I would honestly believe that the majority of consumers feel the same way about weed. And when you went back to say that like years ago when GMO was undesired, do you have I kind of have an idea as to why, but do you know why? Like why do you think GMO wouldn't be desired? I've got a couple reasons.
It was the highest yielding genetic at that time, arguably when GMO was at its peak. It was the first plant. I won't say the first, but it was definitely the first plant, in my opinion, that took off because of its yield. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to find genetics that wash at a high ratio, anything above 3%. It's extremely hard to find things that wash above 5%.
Can you explain that real quick? Can you just for anyone who's listening, what do you mean by wash?
Okay, so when you make hash specifically, not BHO, not ethanol, not distillate, not any of that, when you make what people would refer to as 6-star hash, and then take that 6-star hash and refine it a step further to make rosin. The beginning to make any of that is actually taking your flour and putting it into ice and water, and you actually wash the weed in water. And what it does is it essentially makes the trichomes, which for those that don't know, the trichomes are where the majority of the essential oils of the plant live at. So basically the things that get us high or laughy or, whatever, giggly, hungry, sleepy, couch locked, whatever, all those different states, majority of the essential oils in the plant that cause those different feelings live inside the head of the trichome. So without going too deep into that science, you really don't necessarily need the plant matter. If you can remove the trichomes from the plant matter is essentially just a carcinogen that you don't need to burn if you can actually remove the essential oils that actually do the thing that we like about cannabis, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So you can wash it because cannabinoids, generally speaking, they're not soluble to water. So the trichome heads, because it's cold, they'll just break off because they become brittle. I'm sure people have seen macro photography of trichome heads, how it's like a stalk with like a big head, kind of like a mushroom. So when you get cold enough water, those heads become brittle, just like anything that gets cold, and they actually crack off. And so you can then, through basically just a series of various bags that have different finenesses to them, you can refine and collect that hash out of the water and then throw the weed away afterwards. And so that hash that you're collecting after you throw the weed away, that's what people would refer to as 6-star hash. Not all of it, but one of those bags will end up being your quote-unquote 6-star hash, and then the rest of it will be your quote-unquote food grade or potentially for pens or whatever, depending on what you do with it. But yeah, so when I say wash, I mean the process of converting flour into the first step of making rosin, which is creating melt.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Or bubble hash for those that.
Okay. Yeah. And so because I distracted you, so GMO was high yielding in regards to washing, correct?
Yeah. So like very, very few strains will hit. I mean, I've washed hundreds of genetics, and I would say probably better than 90% of them wash at 3% or less. And 3% is kind of the industry standard. And when I say 3%, it means that for every, say, 10 grams of flour that I wash, you're hoping to get 3% out of finished rosin. So I guess a better example would be like for every 100 grams of flour I wash, I'm hoping that I end up with a finished smokable 3 grams of rosin. And that's kind of how you gauge, whether or not something is worth keeping or not. So in the market, 3% is kind of the baseline. It's like if it goes less than that, you're probably losing money if you have other options that would wash better. But if it's at least 3%, it's like, yeah, we can keep this around and this can be a staple, So I would say 90% of what I've washed over the years is 3% or less, and I would say probably 4 or 5% breaks into the 5% range, and maybe 1% of everything I've ever tried to breed, grow, test has washed above 7%. It's not easy to do. I mean, there's plenty of people that'll claim they do it, and there's plenty of people that'll be like, yeah, we do it, but it's like, all right, cool. How many washes are you doing? Are you extracting it? Are you pressing it multiple times? Are you accounting your second press and your first press? It's like there's so many, everybody's way to get to their number of what something washes at is all different. And it's not right or wrong. It's just, unfortunately, because there's no standard to it, people will say that 3% is different for various people based on how they accumulate it. You know what I mean? Like me, when I say a percentage from our rosin, I mean that's the percentage after a first press only. And you'll always go back and second press the bags, be it to make RSO or some food grade for edibles or whatever. You're always going to second press the bags, So, but I don't count that in my measurements. I count what's going to go to the end consumer as rosin, So that's how I gauge my percentage to rosin.
Drop mic. That's fantastic, man. When it comes to, I love that. So when it comes to the GMO in particular, do you struggle with the time, like flowering time at all, or have you just figured what I like it?
Yeah.
Do you struggle with the time?
I did in the beginning, because it is. I like to take it usually to at least 12 weeks, sometimes 13. And so yeah, in the beginning, because the stretch is insane. For me, it stretches. If I flip that flower at say 2 feet tall, it's going to be a 10 or 11 foot plant by the time it's done stretching. So GMO stretch is really wild. So at least my cut, I don't know if it's like that for other people, but the cut that I was given, that it stretches. So in the beginning, yeah, it was an issue, but as things progressed, I started basically, instead of putting it in an entire room and then holding up that room for the 12 or 13 weeks it would take to finish that particular thing, I would just put it on one row of tables, you know what I mean? And I would do that in multiple rooms at different times. So say I had 4 benches, like 4 rows of benches in a room, I would put the GMO on one, and then I'd put like 3 8-week strains on the rest, you know what I mean? But I would put that GMO at different times. So like say room 1, I'd put a row at, and then 2 weeks later in room 2, I'd put a row, and then 2 weeks later in room 3, I'd put a row, and then essentially I would use all those 8 and 9 week genetics that I have to essentially just kind of keep that flow going, to keep the cash flows kind of steady. But yeah, as long as you balance it, that's where a lot of people are like, how do you grow GMO? How do you take it full term? You just have to have things to offset it. And a lot of growers are not willing to do that. They're not willing to. People are very stuck in their ways, especially with growing. Every grower thinks their way is the best. Every grower thinks they're the shit. Every grower thinks they've mastered the methodology. And I'm not the dude to sit here and tell any of them that they're wrong, because I don't believe that my way is the only way. And I think a lot of growers have a mindset where their way is the best way. And it's like, that's cool. But, I just think ultimately, if people are willing to open up their minds to rearranging how they go about harvesting their crops, you can 100% work 12 and 13 week strains into the rotation without ever seeing a lapse in harvests by just tweaking a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep, man. Okay. So I haven't grown GMO yet. If I'm not mistaken, you hooked us up with, or no. I retract that statement. I wanted to discuss case because I asked why GMO tapered off, or people weren't interested in it, and I might have misunderstood. But was your response because it yields
I think we went
too
on
much?
a side tangent.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's
Yeah,
why.
so
Okay, so finish that.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm the one that distracted you, for the record. So finish your
No,
thought.
you're good, bros. So yeah, to go back to that, to just to answer that for you, the reason why I believe it tapered off is because the yield was so high, bro. Like when Skunk House is the ones that bred that, when Skunk House dropped that to the world, I mean, that was game changing. You know, like now all of a sudden you have people that are growing four lighters that are used to making 20 or 30 grand on their four lighter, and they're making almost 80K off of four lights. You know what I mean? Like I know that sounds impossible, but it's not. Not with GMO, like, and not accounting for everything. That's accounting for your first press, your second press, washing the ever loving shit out of that weed till there's nothing left. But if you go that far, like 4 to 6 lights, people were making twice to 3 times what they were making growing flower or rosin of any other genetic. So when it hit the market, I just think it took off, and the cuts started getting sold for insane amounts of money, and then eventually it kind of got oversaturated because it was the money maker. It did the same thing Blue Dream did for flower. I mean, the reason everybody wanted Blue Dream back in the day is because that plant would hit 3-4 pounds. You know what I mean? Like outdoor, it would do massive numbers, and indoor, it was a 3 or 4 pounder, depending on how you set up your canopy. But like, so like, I just think naturally it weaned itself off because it did what any genetic does that has some exceptional trait or exceptional trait that people want, is that it eventually hit the masses, got shared with everybody under the sun, and literally every single hash maker overnight, really like over the course of a couple of years, but overnight. Oh, you can't hear me?
No, you're good. No, sorry, you're good. No, you're good.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like every hash maker essentially overnight had it. So I just think it tapered off really fast because you hit up any hash maker around 2021, 2022, and everybody had GMO on their menu. And every hash maker that was sought after by anybody had a GMO on their menu. And so I just think it just that's it. I mean, just the massive yields that it had, and the fact that it spread like wildfire as soon as people caught wind of that, and that was it.
Okay, I get it. No, I tripped you out there because I thought I could hear you coming from another place, which doesn't happen often when we have too much audio. So yeah, no, I'm glad you said that. Okay, no, that makes sense. I actually thought, and GMO's newer than this, so I'm glad you had said that. I was actually under the impression that because it stank so damn much, that's kind of why it kind of fell off. Because I got to be honest with you, I love it, for the record. But yeah, I think the average, it's so stanky. It's so like, it's GMO, bro. It's like oniony, kind of like garlicky, gassy, skunky. It's like the armpit meets the foot. And it's like, I love
a bum's
it.
Foot. Not just a regular foot, bum's foot.
Oh, it's so wet. But you're right. And I think the thing is I thought I would have figured the average person wouldn't want that because they're thinking, ew.
Yeah.
That's weed.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I will say this, as rosin got more popular, people started being able to experience smells and tastes that they've never experienced before. And so I think maybe GMO was also familiar to people. It's like people smell GMO. Because here's the thing, like with rosin, you're usually dealing with the living plant. And so a living plant's profile is completely different than a cured and dried plant's profile. And even labs will reflect that. If you test fresh frozen and look at its cannabinoid profile, and then you test that same plant 3 weeks later after it's been dried out, the whole profile of the plant's going to change. So that being said, the smell changes, the taste changes, the high changes, everything changes. So I think that GMO is very reminiscent of what a cured and dried flower smells like in that pungentness of it. You could always, it's not that it smells like this, but in the sake of, if you want to compare it to flour, people could crack that jar and go, damn, that smells very raunchy or gassy, like a sour diesel or like a headband or like an Alaskan Thunderfuck, or not that it really smells like those, but that it has that pungentness to it. Yep. That's reminiscent and familiar to people to go, oh, that's weed. You know what I mean? Whereas when people started washing other genetics like papayas and things of that nature, those plants would also smell like weed if you cured them and dried them. Not that they wouldn't still smell sweet, but they would also take on more of a natural plant smell and aroma and taste and high. Versus when you harvest it live, papayas have a really true papaya nose to them. And like, you know, syrups have a very syrupy nose to them. And like, just things that like strawberries and straw nanas and bananas, you know, banana OGs, banana gods, like all these different things, they all have live a much sweeter profile to them. And so because people I think never experienced that with flower, generally speaking, not a lot of flower will finish out being as sweet as it is when it's alive. They got hit with so much more flavor than they're used to and so much more of an aroma than they're used to. That's so different from what they're used to, because until rosin, nobody was ever really smoking live. Yes, there was live BHO, but the majority of the people that did live BHO were honestly lying about it. Most of them, I mean, we can get into that later, but the science behind doing live BHO, the amount of water that's in that product, you're essentially, for every, say, 10 pounds that you're processing through BHO when it's fresh frozen, you're really only processing like 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds, because the rest of that's water weight that's just taking up volume. So then you have people saying that we've got live, you know, BHO going for $10 or $20. No, you don't. It's not possible. Like, you can't process enough live where it's worth it to sell it that cheap. So I think even when people thought they were smoking a lot of live BHO or live branded products, they're not. Whereas with rosin, there's no mistaking it. You cannot make cured rosin look like live rosin, generally speaking. You know, so I think because of that, I think the fact that the market got hip to the fact that it's like, damn, like rosin can smell really crazy and really good. That's probably another reason that played into GMO like fading out. Is the long and short of me circling back around to that.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair, man. And like I said, like I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you know, I would be surprised if actually I'm not surprised that people are gonna love this, like love it. Because you know, I'm all over the place because I'm trying to think of where people were versus where we're going. I do believe that no, it really didn't have a place back in the day, and then we only need to talk like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and or maybe that's when it was hot or could have been hot. When did GMO? We're talking probably
no GMO really blew up in probably around like 2018.
Okay.
19.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
It may have been around longer than that, but it really
I was going to say
20.
I was going to say it was like 15, but not blew up. Blew up. You know,
exactly.
You're right. No, you're right. Blew up is it? Yeah, you're right. In 18, 19, 20. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's fact, but I would say probably the timeline is right around like 18, 19, probably through like 21, 22. It had probably like a solid maybe 2 years. I wouldn't say 3. Probably like a solid 2 years, maybe 3. Where it really had the market by hold, and every single hash maker was producing something with GMO in it.
Yeah. Okay. I absolutely love GMO, and I honestly, hearing you discuss like taking it and doing what you've done to it and working with it, like that makes me so excited. Like that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to find something and run it. You've done more. Yeah. You've done more than GMO, yes?
Oh yeah, a lot more. Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point now with these breeding projects, most of my rooms will have between 40 and 100 genetics that I'm hitting with one male that I've selected. So it's like so far we've done like I mean, it's basically all my staples. So I think we spoke on this at the other podcast briefly, but I take I don't know if it's different or not. I would assume it is, because most people, you know, like Za, like, you know, he was saying like, I like to stress test. I like to know exactly what my genetics going to do before I breed with it. Mm-hmm. And I respect that approach. And I agree with the end result of that methodology, which is that you're doing that to make sure that the end consumer that's going to pop those seeds isn't going to have anything undesirable. So from an end result standpoint, I agree. But how we get there, I feel like there's multiple ways you can do it. So my approach to breeding is that when I pop seeds, right? Say I buy seeds from people, or I mean, now at this point, thank God we were at a point where we can just pop our own F1s and kind of go through our own populations. But say I still want to find something that's hotter in the market, and I reach out to, whoever may have that hot thing that's in the market, be it Oni or, I mean, who knows, whoever's hot, DNA or Humble Seed Company, circle back around to them. You know what I mean? Like it could be so many people that have a hot thing that took off. It's like, cool, we'll get those seeds. I'll actually pop all of those seeds, and I won't sift through the populations and select. I'll take notes on all the different variants and all the different phenos I see within that genome. And then I'll just essentially, from that first seed, without stress testing, without doing any of that, I have a rough nutrient feed where I'll just kind of have everything at a happy median. And what I'll do is I'll just populate. I'll select a male. We have several males that we have, and I'll select a male. I'll grow it. I'll put it into the room with all of those seedlings that I don't know any data on whatsoever, and I'll actually pollinate that very first round. And the reason I do that is because I believe that the best representation of the plant, where it's going to have the least issues, obviously no insects because it's brand new, no molds, no pesticides, no nothing. I mean, it's not going to have any, ideally in a perfect world, no viral diseases, no hop, no nothing, So it's like I'm getting the best representation of that plant because it's just starting its life for the first time. So I'd rather pollinate with that best representation of the plant. And obviously I don't know exactly the feed that plant's going to want, so maybe in a big enough population of a say a 15 light room where I have hundreds of genetics in it, yeah, sure, some may brown out, some may yellow out, but if the medium of the population and the average of the population is doing fine, then I don't care about the outliers. I'll just make notes of that to circle back around at a later time. And so what it allows me to do is get essentially, on one plant, you can get anywhere from 1,500 to 5, 6, 7,000 seeds, depending on how long you let them veg out. So it's like, that's plenty of seeds where I can hunt for the rest of my life and never worry about it, right? And so I'll just do the single plants. And then in doing so, I'm able to get basically the flowering time, roughly. I'm able to get a good profile on the nose. I'm able to get a good profile on how the trichomes look. Is there potential for washing, or is it too oily and would it be better for BHO? Are the buds dense? Are they small? Is it airy? What's the node spacing like? How long is the veg time? Does it veg well? Does it grow well? So I can get so many data points aside from how it smokes. That's basically the only data point I can't get. So because it's full of seeds. So then what I'll do is I'll have all these notes that we'll make of every single one of these seed starts. And then being that we have the tissue culture going, I'm able to just suspend these in tissue culture and then wait, and we can circle back around. And obviously these seeds will never hit the market until we can circle back around to that given thing where it's like, hey, in my notes, this one hit all the markers. Let's try to put this in a room, run it out under a couple of lights, get enough where we can actually do a full wash or do a full run for flower or do a full run for BHO or whatever. Let's just get enough where we can test this particular genetic. And then we'll put that one genetic into multiple rooms under different stresses. One will be in an ideal situation, so we can just kind of get the rest of the data we're missing and grow it right. And then maybe another room, we tweak the temperatures. Maybe another room, we tweak the humidity. Maybe another room, we tweak the how intense the fan speed is and see if any of that's going to hurt the flower. So it's like we can do the stress testing after the fact, but I'd rather get the seeds off of that first plant when it first sprouts as a seed. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. Like, I'm, again, by now, bro, I'm not to do the claims to be the GOAT of anything. I just do it my own way, and whether it makes sense to people or not, I could really give a shit.
And that's exactly what I admire about you, bro. And then honestly, that was the exact same thing that I admire about Zaza Genetics as well. He's not claiming to think his way's any better than anyone else's. He thinks his way is important, and he has the ways to back it up. And I think that's fantastic. I think there's so many ways to grow this plant, and who gives it? Don't worry about it. I love what you're doing, man, and I appreciate someone that's willing to test the water with 2 feet, because we can stand around and listen, and we can take orders from someone else and say or hear, okay, yeah, it's deep, it's hard, don't do it, or we can just do it ourselves. Jump in, figure it out, and that's what I like. Sometimes you're gonna fail. Sometimes you're gonna achieve. And Imbe has certainly achieved, bro. And honestly, I could sit and talk about genetics the whole damn time. But I also want to talk about on my show. I've had the Swank Collection in every single episode, bro, that we've been live. Many people don't know this, but on the desk of my show, I have the dab tools.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Hell yeah.
And man, I absolutely love them. These are gorgeous, bro. So, this is something that you and your dad are doing. Your dad made these? You and your dad?
Yeah, so my dad makes every single tool, man. I have nothing to do with the creative side of it. I mean, I design the boxes and all the stuff after the fact, but all as far as how they come out and everything, that's 100% my pops, man. And he's 75 years old and doesn't even dab. He smokes weed, but he can't dab at his age. He's been smoking cigarettes for like 70 years, so he doesn't have the lungs to dab. But yeah, he literally has never took not one dab in his life, and all of those are 100% his ideas.
Well, you know, it's because he believes in his son, and he knows his son is onto something, and is willing to dedicate his time and his energy to that. Man, I don't even need to know much then, but I know your dad's a great guy. Then I'm sure you're blessed to have him. And this is where can people get Swank Tools?
So we were working on a website, and we have one of the. I'll just skip all of that. We had a cliche story that a lot of people have, where we paid a dude to develop a website for us, and then he ended up basically just taking the money and giving us a really shit product in the end. And as people can tell, if you just look at our Instagrams, like I put a lot of care and thought into how we brand and present our companies to the world. So it didn't work. So for now, if people are interested in the tools, they can definitely just go to @Swank Tools, SWANK Tools, @Swank Tools on Instagram. Shoot us a DM. I can show you a selection, like a one. Basically, my dad does sets, so like he'll do an epoxy pour and then put in certain types of wood or whatever he wants to do for whatever he's thinking that day. And usually we'll get anywhere between like 8 to 14 tools per set. And every single one will be different. It'll just have the same pour epoxy tone to it or whatever. But every tool will be shaped different or whatever. So yeah, I can basically send anybody that's interested like one of each set to give them an idea what the set looks like. And then they can just let us know, and we can take care of it all in the DMs.
Wow. That's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. I got to be honest with you, man. When we were at the Airbnb in Vegas, you pulled up, and this might have been the time you forgot the torch. I can't remember. Brought the gear, everything, but forgot the torch. We're not gonna highlight that. It doesn't even matter. We'll edit that out. The power of Hollywood. But you stopped by, bro, and you handed us this box, which I think is just beautiful, and I'm so appreciative of it.
Thank you.
Which was a huge extension of what I thought was friendship from you to me, and I really appreciated that. So thank you. Then,
100%, bro.
Like that wasn't enough. You also presented me with like 10 freaking grams of freshly washed. I had Hot Tropic, I had Bundy, I had the Hunt × 2, maybe 3. I might have taken more than I needed. And I can't remember if there was another one. But oh my gosh, this is some of the most this is where all my praise comes from, because somehow I can't believe it. I found it in Canada. And Mrs. P.
That's wild. International, baby.
It's international. Congratulations. It is so good, man. It's like you ever had a really good meal, and then you have like a dessert, and you like eat it just corner by corner by corner by corner. That's how I'm taking these dabs, bro. I get so many. Awesome, let's have a dab, bro. Let's have a dab. I'm like, I'm sure I got something else around here. Let me see. Let me smell the Imbe. Perfect. There's got to be something else around here. That's how it is, bro. That's how it is every time.
I appreciate that.
It was the most I had ever been given. It was absolutely crazy. Then, I think it wasn't that trip. It was the next trip. We went and had some Korean. Is that what that was?
Japanese.
Yeah,
Japanero.
Oh, bro, and you frequent that place
Which
often.
You guys ended up treating me to that, so thank you guys.
It was the least, of course. I was very jealous. Mrs. P was very jealous. But of
next
course,
time you got to come, Mrs. P.
I will. She's coming. She's coming next time for sure.
Okay.
I was texting her, and she was like trying to be happy for me, but like I could sense the anger in her.
Pictures of all the stuff.
She's like, "Don't send me this. Don't send me this." Yeah. It was breaking bread, and it was honestly, it was a great moment in time. It was a beautiful restaurant. You go there all the time?
Yeah.
You know the owner?
I do know the owner. I'm not friends with the owner. I mean, I would say maybe now we're friends because I mean, I couldn't even. I've definitely paid a power bill or two in that place, but yeah, he's a good dude. I know the whole staff, and I became friends with two of the staff members. We go out every now and again and grab drinks and stuff. So yeah, it's like that place is like a second home when it comes to a restaurant.
What's the name of it again?
Japanero.
I knew it. Japanero. So I want, if you're in the Vegas area, and Rob is in the chat actually, and he says it's the best. And my boy has got a poverty palate, bro. Like he does not like anything.
Yo, when he said that night, that had me dying.
He ain't joking. He ain't joking. Even the littlest bit.
That had me dying, bro. He's good for the one-liners, bro.
Oh, he's the best, bro. That's my G, man. I love that guy, man. And when we get us all in the same room together, man, it is such a good time, man. You sure know how to fire up a huge dab too, G.
You know what's crazy, bro, is that like I genuinely don't do that to flex. It's to the point now where I've like and I don't even mean this as a joke. I genuinely think I have a problem because there's not a person I give dabs to that doesn't feel uncomfortable with the dab. And I'm just like, and I'm like, dude, like I'm not showing off. I'm not flexing. I'm just like, yo, this is how I dab. And then I'll dab like that, and I'll dab like that all day, every day. And people are like, oh, you really do just give out dabs like this. It's like, yeah, bro. Like I want everybody, you know, the dudes that taught me how to grow, you know, I'd even shout him out. His name's Asa. He's the one that taught me how to grow back in the day, and that's a story for another time. But when I first went on his farm, you know, he wakes me up at like, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning. And he started this day. I mean, at this point, I had never seen a living plant. I was just a hustler, like trying to middleman my way out of mediocrity. Right. And so like, I had never seen a living plant. I go live on his farm to become him, basically. And first day, we wake up at 6 a.m. He's got an attic. We go up there. He's got all these like dab rigs with these e-nails on them, and they're all fired up. And he's just got jars and jars of BHO. And this is probably like 2014 or something. And he's just like, yo, start the day and just dab after dab after dab. And I'm like, dude, I'm passing out, bro. I'm unconscious right now, bro. I can't work. You want me to work? I can't work. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to work right now, bro. And then he hands me a pile of weed and just says, start breaking it up and rolling. And then I'm rolling these little pinner ass blunts. Back then I didn't even smoke joints. It was all blunts. Rolling these little pinner ass blunts. And then he's like, what are you doing? And then he rolls one, and he's, you know, big cannons. And I'm just like, bro, like, you really do this? And then after living on his farm for like 6-8 months, that's every day. Every day these dudes were smoking QPs of flower between him and all his crew, rolling up 5, 6, 7 gram joints and taking endless amounts of dabs. And then after a while, like, he's just like, bro, this is why we do it. We do it because, like, this is the benefit of it. Share it, bro. Share it with everybody around you. If you love that person and they're in your circle, give it to them. Don't ever charge them. Share it with everybody. Like, yes. And that's one thing that from Asa, like, I take I took it to heart. You know what I mean? It's true, bro, because we are in a unique position. Up to that point when I met him, I had been doing my thing for a decade, trying to trap and get out of the rat race. You know what I mean? And and I had never experienced anything like that, you know? And it's just like, it's not, and most people, it was in that moment I realized most people never will. Most people will never be around all those plants where you could just smoke whatever you want and do whatever you want and treat it like it's just a means to feed your family, you know, and nothing more, nothing less, like, and just love the plant for the plant. People always have to love the plant based on their bank account and how much money they have to spend. So when you get to the other side of it and you can grow it for yourself, like you very well know, it's the most rewarding thing in the world to just be able to share it with people, you know? So right, bro. It's like there's a time and place to make money off of it, but it's not off of your friends, bro. You know, share it with the whole world.
Amen, man. You know, it's funny. This is why we connect so well, bro. I had a really, really good friend. Rest in peace to my buddy B.D. McGee. Maybe that was a little personal, but he passed away to a fentanyl overdose. That is irrelevant, but I wanted to mention it. But he taught me the exact same thing, bro. used to be a selfish little bastard. You know, it's cutthroat out there, man. I didn't have a family. I was homeless very early on. I was addicted to drugs really early on. So it was cutthroat. It was me against the world, right? So I met him, and as I was getting a little bit older, he had settled down. He had a house, and he used to host parties. And I hadn't got to that point in my life yet where I was hosting people. And he used to tell me that, and not just tell me, I used to go there, and he would take up or he would take like a Tupperware container, like a sandwich container, and he would grind up all his weed. Not all. He would grind up a bunch of weed. Yeah. And he would put it in the container, and he would host a party, and he would put the container in the middle of the table and just say, "Help yourself." Yeah. And to me, back then, I thought that was fucking crazy, bro. I was like, don't people come up and just smoke it all in one hoot? Don't they just put it in their pockets and walk away? He's like, no, bro. Believe it or not, the most that anyone has ever smoked, or the most I've lost is like a quarter of weed. Because no one's gonna, if you're associating with the right people, I suppose, anyway, that's a huge thing too. But that nature of giving has completely changed, or not changed, but it laid out how I host people now. I do the exact same thing. I put out a bunch of weed on the table, different kinds. I put out a bunch of different pieces, big and small, and I'm just like, help yourself, pack your own bowl, because I do the same thing as you, bro. I pack a hoot the size of Montana, and then I hand it to somebody, and I'm like, here, smoke this. And then they feel obligated to smoke it, right? And then I'm like, and then I kill them. I've like, and you've done this to my friends before. You've killed my friends before. I was there. I was in the same room. You know, and then I feel responsible. I feel guilty. I'm like, fuck, I killed my friends. They're passed out on the couch. You know, it's like I feel pretty bad about it. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put out an array of equipment on the table, small pipes, big bongs, and I try not to look. When someone takes a hoot, it's like almost when someone's eating, I try not to stare at them. I look away.
Bro, on a side note, I love that you call a bong a hoot or a bowl pack, or I'm assuming you're referring to like a bowl pack.
Yeah, a bowl pack.
Is that a Canadian thing?
You know what? It's funny, bro. It's like so many people have asked me, did you create that word? I did not. And I've asked people in America, my audience, if they've heard of it, and they say yes. So it must be like maybe, So it must be like a UP, maybe like an Upper Peninsula thing, some close to the border. I'm not sure.
Maybe people from Minnesota.
The Minnesotans. Yeah, Minnesotans with a hoop.
Maybe people from Minnesota.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I I didn't poll where in America. I didn't. Yo, what was there? You got a dark day? Yeah. So man, it's that spirit of giving. That's what I love the most. I think that's what we were still talking about. That spirit of giving, and that's what the plan is all about, bro. It's like
it is, bro.
Putting it out. Don't charge your friends.
Thing, bro.
Their money is like I honestly feel like your money, bro, is my money. I don't want your money because you're hustling. I guess that could have came off. I want all your money, bro. No, that's yeah, right. It's like I honestly feel like if I've got a business and stuff, I'm not trying to make money off of you. There's an entire market out there that I want to try to utilize, right? I don't know what the right word is, but it's like, no, making money off of friends and family, that's such a small pool to try to hone in on. Obviously support is different, but no.
Yeah, now when you're first starting your business, I mean, obviously it's cool to lean on your friends and family. Those should be the first people that are there to support you.
Of course.
But on the flip side of it, once you get up and going and you have the ability to, then you should.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree, man. And that's what this plan is all about, man.
Yeah, man, 100%. It sucks because that's a very small. That's a fleeting mindset, bro. This next generation down because it's almost wild to say this, bro, but because they don't have a tie to the underground, and because they've never had to buy a sack illegally, and because they've never experienced, for the most part, the true aspects of this culture that make us, make stoners, make hippies when it comes to the plant specifically, like. It's the sharing, it's the caring, it's the experience, it's the unity, it's the family, it's the getting together and laughing over absolutely nothing whatsoever. and having really dumb stoner talks that are the greatest thing ever when you're stoned. You know what I mean? It's like that is dying off because again, the younger generation, they didn't have to do any of that. They literally just walk into a dispensary. They've never had to meet a plug. They've never had to negotiate a deal. They've never had to pick up something on the low key or hide it from their parents. All of that, I mean, I don't care how this sounds, all of that builds character that I believe this culture needs. And unfortunately, it's going away. And, you know, I'm trying to do my best to continue to practice that, you know what I mean? And try to be like, keep that torch burning of what it's really about, bro. You know, it shouldn't all be about the bread. There's so much money to be made in cannabis, which means there should be so much that you can give away and share with anybody you love and care about. You know what I mean? It shouldn't even be a thing. It shouldn't even be a bleep on the radar, no matter what you want to do with it.
I get it, man. And I totally agree. And bro, I don't know which generation it was. I don't like, as someone who had almost 0 to nothing in regards to parental guidance, I want to blame the generation before me. This is where this is where the handshake died. This is where talking to someone face to face, looking a man in the eye and understanding his intentions, that's died. That's died.
It's all died. People can't even make eye contact anymore, bro.
No. And
especially, they look at you like you're weird for wanting to make eye contact with them.
Right.
Yes. Like, what, bro?
Yeah. I you know what? I'm not gonna sit and point fingers. Who knows where it died? But the reality is that I do believe it still exists. I had this conversation on a stream just the other day. It's like, this is the fundamentals of being a man.
Yep.
Being a man, to be able to shake the hand of another man or woman, of a business partner or another human being, to shake their hand and to give them your full confidence to complete whatever task or to have their back or whatever it is. There is still a very small amount of people, and maybe it's the majority, but it's always the vocal minority that gets the most clout. But it's like, that is the fundamentals of being a man. Handshakes, giving somebody your word and standing behind it, and you know, admitting when you're wrong. That's a tough one, I'll admit. But, you know, it's something you got to do. And I do believe that, I don't believe it's dead. I just believe that that's not what rules the mainstream, if you will.
Yeah. And I think partially, you know, the old heads that are, well, like I would say the new age old heads, it's going to take people that, like the dudes that taught me, you know, like Asa. And I mean, he does, bro. Like, I haven't talked to Asa or seen Asa in almost 10 years. Maybe it's actually been 10 years, honestly. It probably has been 10 years. Like, fuck, it might have been 11 years, honestly. But, I mean, and I can tell you 100% that's all that dude's still doing, for sure. I don't need to know where he's at or his endeavors. Like, for sure, if that dude's still in cannabis, which he is, he's giving it out, bro. And it's just like, it takes people like him, and it takes people like Fields from Skittles, and it takes all these dudes that really, I mean, for better or for worse, put on for the scene at one point or another. It takes them wanting to not be all for profit. You know what I mean? And it's tough, bro, because the more we get into the legal side of the game, it's a lot of blind money. You know, it's a lot of Chads and Brads, and it's a lot of just ignorance. You know, and it's not. I don't even think it's all with malice. I just think that there's a lot of misconceptions with how people can generate money through cannabis. And because of that, once people fall into the trap of believing people that at their word, you know, for whatever it may be pertaining to this plant, and then they end up millions of dollars in the hole, like, now things begin to happen with malice when that was never initially the intent. And so now you have an industry where people like me will broadly make fun of the industry by labeling the industry filled with Chads and Brads. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's only because I don't think the Chads and Brads initially had malice intent, but when you get screwed over and you're millions in the hole or tens of millions, or some of these MSOs, hundreds of millions in the hole, it's like, yeah, you're going to start doing things to figure it out. You're going to figure out how to cheat metric, and you're going to figure out how to cheat the state. You're going to figure out how to not pay tax. You're going to figure out how to cut corners, because you have to. You have no way to survive if you don't. And so we're in a really weird time, man, where it's difficult for people to make the change, you know, for whatever that means for them. And so I just feel like it's just again, going back to how we started this conversation, is the uphill battle worth it, you know? And I feel like there needs to be people that are willing to say yes, because right now I feel like a lot of the real ones are finally getting to a point where they're just saying no, you know, and they're going to other avenues. They're, you know, going whatever. They're just getting out of the quote unquote rat race, like I said, you know, because unfortunately it's very depressing when you're somebody like you or I or Rob or Chris or Law, you know what I mean? Where it's like, we really do care about this shit, bro. Like, we really are about it. And so when that gets diminished down to, but what's your THC percentage? I literally just want to choke them. Like, I want to watch the life leave their body, bro. And I don't even care how that sounds. It's the most disheartening, disingenuous, fake bullshit that's being pushed to people about cannabis.
And
then you have all the buyers being like, well, what's your THC number, man? Like,
to be clear, you're talking about the tops saying that shit, not the consumer.
Yeah.
These are the people, the Chads and the Brads. Chads and the Brads. Yeah.
And that's why I say is like, and I'd like to try to say that I really don't think that all of this was started with malice. I just think that it ended up that way. You know what I mean? Because after so many lies and so much manipulation and so much debt that people have acquired, they have to get out of the hole. They have to. And once you get back into a big enough corner, you will do anything. And hence how we get to the current state of the market in Oklahoma, in Colorado, in Nevada, in any legal state. There's states sitting on product. Almost every state is sitting on excess product right now because there's no market for it, because it's a race to the bottom and people want to pay less and less and less and less. Dispensaries want to pay less and less and less. And then here's the fucked up part, is that they want to pay less but then charge the same. So ultimately what the dispensaries are saying is that we're going to bottleneck you. And it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter the brand you have. It doesn't matter the reputation you have. We're your only way to get it to the end consumer. So we're going to make you take less money. But then guess what? We're still charging the end consumer the same amount. So the retail side of this has a monopoly on the game that the states don't even realize they implemented by giving them the power to dictate price and giving them the power to be the only way that the product could get into the end consumer's hand. So it's just a really fucked up game. And I know you'll have to bleep out the language, but
I won't.
This is what it is.
Nah, this is TeawithP, bro. We don't care here. We just don't care here.
No.
Which is wonderful. Yeah, it's different than my other shows. Bro, okay, I can totally appreciate that, man. Like, we're seeing a shift though now. Okay, so hold on. So it's still filled with Chads and Brads because money talks. Money talks. Money dominated the first few years of legalization in this industry. Still does. I'm not going to say money won't dominate, but I've said it many times that there's an underground craft community, a passion that still exists, a fire that burns, and you're a representation of that. And we'll see that supersede this money game of Chads and Brads. But we're just, my next question, do you see it?
I lost audio.
Did you lose audio on me?
No, on him.
Oh, I still got his audio.
What am I asking?
Yeah. I would say that I have to really think on that question. I don't know that I'm seeing the shift. I honestly don't think that. I'm really trying to actually think about that. I think that the shift that I'm starting to see is not so much the industry fixing issues, but the investors getting hip to the fact that the industry isn't. And so I think that, no, I don't think that there's a shift, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, the biggest players in this game right now don't come from the culture. They come from VC firms. They come from private investors. They come from money, where like all they care about is cash flows and bottom line. Like, how much money in, where's my money out, how long will it take, what's the return? So when you deal with people like that, I don't necessarily think that it matters if there's a shift happening in the market, because until those people are the minority and not the majority, it's going to be a very difficult thing, because they don't care about the culture whatsoever. They don't have to care about the culture. They just have to care about the bottom line. They're investors. And unfortunately, that's who largely controls the legal market is investors that could give a fuck less about a cannabis cup or an emerald cup or any award from anywhere for any reason. It's just what's your THC numbers. So, yeah, I would say no. Oh, really? Oh, oh, I mean, honestly, bro. So for those that didn't hear
What keeps you
him,
motivated?
yeah, for those that didn't hear him, he just asked me what keeps me motivated. The this, bro, everything we've been talking about. I mean, I know it's a vague answer, but honestly, what keeps me motivated is everything we've been talking about. The fact that I think there is a big gap in the market that's going to be difficult to fill, but if we can figure out how to fill it, I mean, my God, that's such an untapped resource. So, I think the lack of education, where again, though it's very difficult to try to correct that, because you're battling dispensaries and a generation of people that only know dispensaries, so they trust their bud tender. Where it's not that I even think the bud tender is doing anything bad; it's that the bud tender is being told by whoever's teaching the bud tender, and usually that person doesn't know shit. So I think largely my motivation comes from trying my best, like you, bro, like, until you had my GMO or the Imbe, and I do not mean this in a cocky way whatsoever, but most people that have any of my products, the rosin or the flower, most people that have it genuinely have an awe about it. And that to me is crazy, bro, because the tubes that taught me what I know are way better at doing this stuff than me. And there's no awes given to them. You know what I mean? So I just think that, no, bro, the fact that I still get awes when to me I'm not any better or worse than anybody that cares like I care, like it's a bit frustrating. So I feel like that's what keeps me motivated, bro, is the fact that, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of want to get to a place where I don't get the awes. I want to get to a place where it's just the standard. And unfortunately, we're so far from that, where for my benefit, people still have the awe effect when they see my product. But for the benefit of the bigger picture and the country and cannabis as a whole, nah, bro, I think it's a bad thing that 10 out of 10 people that will see my rosin will literally bug out, or see my flower will bug out. I didn't even know that this could happen. And it's like, bro, that's not good, because I can show you 100 growers in the underground that do it as good or better than me, bro. I'm not some goat. I'm just a dude that cares about the plant like so many other do, but those people don't exist in the legal market because of the Chads and Brads. So it's like, I feel like that's what keeps me motivated, bro. As crazy as it sounds, I want to get to a point where there is no awe factor when you see my stuff, because my stuff is the standard.
Bro, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And man, I can appreciate that. And that's why I honestly connect with you, because you're honest, and you and I connect because I preach the exact same thing. I don't know, in my opinion, anything. I've figured out what works for me. I've figured out what I like, what satisfies my family and the people around me. And I take that as a pretty good indicator that something's right. I'm going to hone in on it. And
100%.
That's 100% the way to go. And there is a shift. Thank you, first of all, for handling that. My mic died, but I couldn't figure out what it was that the issue was. So I ran all the way upstairs, got the other micro, or a hub for my phone micro, and tried to plug it in via extension cord, and then realized I had the other mic just charging the whole time right there. I just plugged it in.
I'll be honest, bro. That's pretty impressive. The fact that you ran up a flight of steps and you're not out of breath, I would still be out of breath if I ran up a flight of steps, bro.
Well,
it's pretty fucking good.
Okay. Yep. I'll take all that credit I can, because I'm out of shape too. Yeah, it's that dad work. It's that dad effort that kicks in after a while.
Well, if you ever need an ego boost, let me come to your house. I'll run up the same flight of steps. You can look over at me and then look at yourself, and you'll think you're all right.
No, I definitely don't, man. I definitely don't need an ego boost. Self-delusion. I was actually watching Joe Rogan and Adam Sandler. I'm not sure if you caught that, but wow.
Not the whole thing, but I watched like 30 minutes of it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Adam Sandler's a huge legend. And it just, like, self-delusion is huge. Thinking you're the best will get you a long way. And
he's
you know,
another example of a dude that put on everybody he loves. That
yes,
dude put on
yes,
every single person he loves, bro.
yes, yes, he did, man. And there's something to be said about that, bro.
Yeah,
Chris, man, honestly, you got to come back. You got to come back. I don't want to
100%,
take
bro.
too much of your time, man. It's been over an hour. I honestly think, and not think, I know you and I have talked for hours and hours and hours and hours and shot the shit. And you've served me some huge dabs. I swallowed them and carried on, and it was fantastic. And they were some of the best dabs I've ever had. So,
Appreciate
Chris,
you, bro.
thank you for that, man. And thank you for being my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a badass son of a gun. Thank you for your passion. And thank you for believing in this plant and the community, bro. It's huge, man.
No,
It
I
feels like
appreciate that
a
all,
dying
bro.
breed. Dying breed.
I appreciate that, and thank you for having a platform like this to be able to try to get people out there like me to hopefully make some impact, bro. You're doing your thing, man. You and Rob and Chris, like you three coming together is probably one of the best things that could have happened for this community, in my opinion, bro.
Man,
you guys are just
thank you.
You're a very the culture needs you guys for
Man,
sure.
I'm very humbled to hear that. Thank you very much, man. Rob and Chris are absolute legends, and I feel the same way riding their coattails. So thank you. Thank you for saying that. Chris, real quick, if anyone wanted to reach out to you or get in contact in any way or follow for the latest, where would they get a hold of you?
So yeah, we only have Instagram. There's literally, and just so I can make this extremely clear, we only have 4 accounts. There's no other duplicates. There's no Discords. There's no Telegrams. There's no social media of any kind. There's 4 Instagram accounts. There's no websites. There's no nothing. So like, I can't stress enough. If they want to talk to me about flower and here's the thing to anybody that's watching, I'm an open book. I don't hide my nutrients. I don't hide how I grow. I don't hide my methodologies. I don't hide my whys. I don't hide anything. So by all means, if you just want to be better at what you do, for whatever that's worth, if you think my way may work for you, DM me. Those are the DMs I'll respond to. There's plenty of people that are trying to get my DMs for 6-7 years and I don't respond because we don't trap online whatsoever. So it's like, hit me up. Those are the DMs I respond to. So if you want to talk flower, hit up Swank Genetics at Instagram. If you want to talk about glass, hit up the Swank Collection. If you want those tools that he just showed you, Swank Tools. And if you want to talk Iron Bay, it's Iron Bay Hash. So those are the only 4 accounts. That's it. And you'll never find anything else anywhere else. There is no Telegrams. Like the amount of DMs I get, oh, what's your Telegram? I hate that shit. So like, I appreciate it. And genuinely to everybody that asked me for that, thank you. It means a lot that you do want to tap in, but we don't tap in like that. And I mean that. I'm not one dude that says it and then has one. We don't have one. We don't tap in like that.
Bro, solid, man. You have so many gems, man. I could talk and I could go on and on and on, but YouTube's retention and attention span is just like mine. It's very short, so we have to do this in episodes. We have to do this in segments.
Yeah, bro.
Chris, thank you so much. This was a legendary conversation and an epic one for the show. Thank you for being a part of it. And bro, we're gonna be kicking it in like less than a month, bro. You're coming to LA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fucking
We're
right,
coming to LA,
bro.
and also Iron Bay's coming to LA too. So we will have dabs, not for sale, but I promise you, any one of your guys' people that wants to dab, we will have it all on deck for you guys.
I know a guy or two and a gal or two. Mama Kush is known to dab. Mama, okay. But Chris, thank you so much, Animal. I appreciate you, bro. I can't wait to meet up with you, man. And make sure everyone goes checks him out because this is a man who's going to drop solid information anytime you talk to him. So, Chris, thank you. Thank you, man. Have yourself a great night, bro.
You as well, brother. Much love.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Later, bro.
Wow. Chris from Swank Genetics. That... I didn't want to end it. I got to be honest with you. I didn't want to end it, but both busy guys, and I don't want to take too much of his time. That was epic.